Beauty Junkie, welcome to my channel. Today we're getting into the Sydney Grace Temptalia collaboration eyeshadow palette. I have the Quintessence Light Palette. This is a full fantasy purple, green, cool tone palette that I'm very excited to share my thoughts. We're going to do swatches, comparisons to other Sydney Grace eyeshadows, and I'm going to do a demo. So I hope you are excited. This is such a fantasy space palette. So there's 3 different palettes in this collaboration with Temptalia. There's a dark version of all 3 and a light version of all 3. So there's a total of 6. Sydney Grace is going to have a Christmas in July sale starting on July 26th through August 2nd. All the details of this Christmas in July sale is going to be on Sydney Grace's Instagram page, so definitely check that out. And this palette is going to be included in the sale along with the other Temptalia collaboration palettes. Just so you guys know, this does retail for $40. There are 12 shades and 21.6 grams of product. So I'm not sure the details yet how this will be incorporated into the Christmas and July sale. But the sale in Christmas is definitely pretty good. You usually get a lot of free product for a certain amount. If you spend a certain amount, there'll be discounts on single eyeshadows. So it's going to be exciting. I do have some other Sydney Grace videos if you guys are interested in just learning more about this brand, getting swatches of other single shadows. I have quite a bit of content on Sydney Grace because they have wonderful, reasonably priced quality eyeshadows of different textures. The reason I picked this palette is because it is cooler toned and just a lot of fun, very fun looking. And when I was trying to find comparisons in my collection, I actually found that I didn't really have that many. I do have some similar shades and I'll show you those, but we'll mostly focus on other shadows from Sydney Grace that you might be interested in picking up during the sale that might complement these shades or just be similar. So let's get into swatches of this first. I'm going to show you some B-roll of some of the swatches in the sun, but I'm going to do live swatches with you right now. We're going to start at the top, going from this direction, starting with Umbra, which is the black shade. It's a black matte. Looks like that. Orion Nebula. That is so pretty. Aurora Borealis. Galactic Muse. Interstellar, that completes the top row. Celestial Bloom. Super vibrant shade. The Milky Way. Nice and shifty. Reaching Zenith. Parallax. Sirius Starlight. My Constellation. And that rounds out the entire Quintessence Light Temptalia Sydney Grace palette. Those are the live swatches. Beautiful rich shades. That there is some different textures than what I'm used to seeing from Sydney Grace. This one, this one, this one, this one, and the 2 on the end have quite a bit of texture to them. They are very bright, vibrant, and shiny, but you may experience just a little bit more fallout with these types of shades. The rest of these are matte or satin or just like a flatter duochrome. Alright, so I want to get into some comparisons starting with other Sydney Grace eyeshadows in their collection. Let's start with purples. I'm going to swatch Aurora and Celestial Bloom from the Quintessence Light. So I actually don't have a lot of purples from Sydney Grace. There is one in the Chase My Dreams palette, which is still available. And I'm talking about this shade right here. This is the Drive. The Drive, very different tone of purple and different texture. Just a little bit more shimmer satin looking. And then let's look at this raspberry shade here, Iron Nebula. This is Iron Nebula. The closest shade I have from Sydney Grace is Forbidden Love, but it's not exactly the same. So Forbidden Love. Sort of same family, they're related. All right, and then this shade here, My Constellation, really pretty. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch that. So this is My Constellation from the Quintessence Light. And there's a couple of options that I found with this. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch these two from the Chase Your Dreams palette. This is Your Best and Don't Quit. Your Best, Don't Quit. So Your Best is a little bit browner and deeper. This is a little bit more purplish eggplant. So not quite the same, but you get the idea. Those are probably the closest shades that I have from Sydney Grace to My Constellation. Let's go into Milky Way, which is this fun shade here. We have the Milky Way. It's a beautiful pink to golden, kind of greenish bluish tinge. Very, very vibrant and pretty. So I don't have anything from the Chase My Dreams palette, so I'm just going to be going into some singles that I pulled out from my Sydney Grace collection. And I don't think I have a real dupe for Milky Way, but we're just going to look at some similar shades here. This is Always Yours. A lot more pink, not as much gold. The Greatest Gift, a little bit closer, not quite the same. Oh boy. Winter Garden, more pinky purple, but you can see how these are a little bit more similar. Go For It, which doesn't quite have that more golden shift, but all very pretty. I think those are probably the closest to Milky Way. Not a real match, nothing that really matches this one here. Now I have a couple of other shades that are probably not really close, but might, if you had to expand this collection a little bit more, I think they would fit into this color palette, and that is these three shades right here, all from Sydney Grace, a couple of mattes and another like duochrome color. The first matte is Officer, and this is like a gray brownish tone. I'll just swatch Reaching Zenith from the Quintessence Light, and it's a darker gray sister. This is like a mauvey purple shade. This is Regal, and there isn't really a matte purple in this palette, but if you wanted to get one to go with it, I think this might be a good choice. A little bit harder of a shade to swatch, but still like really pretty. So that's Regal. And then this is another fun shade if you don't have enough fun shades in this palette. This is Red Chameleon. I believe this is also in Tiny Marvel's palette. It's a different name though, but this is Red Chameleon. And it's just a cool shade. It's like green, red, and brown. Kind of goes with the galactic theme, I think. And then if I wanted like a white duochrome inner corner type of shade that isn't super glittery, I would try Blue Mist or Red Mist, which are white shifty shades. So this is Blue Mist, which is like a very white, pink, reddish duochrome. Even though it's blue, it kind of looks pink. This is Red Mist, which is more pink leaning. So you can see that there, how these would complement this palette. So these are all my Sydney Grace, not all of them, but the ones that kind of go with this palette, my singles. And that's kind of it for Sydney Grace comparisons. I wanted to go through my other eyeshadow palettes to pick out some shades that are close to these greens. I do have some greens from Sydney Grace, but they're more earthy and just a different tone. so they weren't really close matches, but I did find some really close matches from the BH Sweet Shop Pistachio palette, which many of you have heard of or you own. Some really close shades in here, so we're gonna do a couple of comparisons. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and swatch Borealis, Galactic Muse, and Interstellar. Sorry, those are not attractive swatches. This is Borealis, Galactic Muse, and Interstellar. All right, and jumping into the BH Cosmetics Pistachio palette, I'm just gonna swatch these three right here. This is Treat, Crunch, and Cone or Cup, and look at how close they are. So this is Treat, Crunch, and Cone or Cup. Gonna redo these because they're hidden now because I'm not smart. All right, I think you can see how close these are. So Cone or Cup is probably the closest matte dupe, like 1 for 1, super close. Texture is similar. Now these two are not quite the same, but pretty close. So this is Crunch from Pistachio, and it's a little bit more of a rich, more traditional earthy forest green. This is a little bit more blue, but they have a really similar shine. And then Treat, I would say, is a little bit lighter than Borealis, but you know, really, really close, right? So I would say if you already have the Pistachio palette and you're going for this palette because of the greens, not necessarily something you need both of because they're really close in tone and both have really beautiful texture. So I just wanted to quickly compare those two because I was really surprised how close they are. All right, on to the demo portion of the video. I'm going to do a couple different looks. So a more raspberry maroon type of look on this eye. So I'm going to be using my Constellation and Iron Nebula, and I'll probably end up using the Milky Way as well, and maybe a little bit of Sirius Starlight. And then on the other eye, I want to do a combination of purple and green. I'll probably do more purple up top, maybe some green on the under part of my eye. That's going to be a little bit more wild. I have used this palette a little bit, and I do suggest investing in a glitter glue. The NYX glitter glue is going to be your friend. It's actually a glitter primer. Fairly inexpensive because these shades are a little bit, they're nice, they feel good, they feel like they have a little bit more creaminess to them than some of the other Sydney Grace eyeshadows that I've tried. They have a little bit more fallout though, but they are a little bit brighter, like more punchy. So you have to work with them a little bit. So let's go ahead and start with the more maroon, reddish, raspberry side of my look today. I'm going to start with the Raspberry Iron Nebula. There is a mirror in this palette, so it makes it really handy to just get in there right away. And I am using a rougher number 1. And we're just going to do a little shaping here. I do not have any primer on. You definitely can use primer with these shadows for sure. It's gonna do a little bit of outlining in the crease. This shade is more of a traditional shimmer. It's not real chunky, so it's pretty easy to work with. My Constellation with a flatter brush is the rougher number 2. And we're going strictly on the outside. That just richens things up quite a bit, makes a little bit more of a grape look. I did get a little bit of fallout with that purple, my Constellation shade. I'm gonna go into Milky Way, but I'm gonna use a glitter glue primer first because this one is a little bit more chunky with the glitter, a little bit more fallout. So I'm just gonna take some on my finger and tap it on. Go right in with my finger in Milky Way. So beautiful trio of shades there. We're kind of getting a watercolor effect with the Iron Nebula, that pink shade on top. You could definitely take this in a more darker direction or less pink colorful, but I like the kind of purplish red pinky contrast. All right, I'm going to be a little bit more precise and put more glitter primer in my inner corner, and then I'm going into the silver sparkly shade Serious Starlight just for a little extra, but this one is lots of fallout, so you want to be careful. See those little bit more chunky glitter in there. Alright, and then on the under eye, I think I'm going to go back in with Iron Nebula to round this out, that pink shade. If you want something a little bit safer, you don't want red right close to your eye, you could probably use the gray shade Reaching Zenith, which is a matte. Alright, so that's all the eyeshadow I want to apply to this eye. I'm going to go ahead and transition on to the next look, and then we'll finish off with eyeliner and mascara. So for my next look, this is going to be a little bit more dramatic and very galaxy, which I think this palette is really going for. I think this palette wants you to have a lot of fun, and so that's what we're going to try to do. So I'm going to start with the gray shade Reaching Zenith first. These purples are so vibrant, but I just want something to ground my eye a little bit. So I think this gray is really pretty and just nice and cool tone, gives you a little bit of shadow. Alright, and I'm going into Aurora without the glitter primer, and we're going to see what happens. I'm going to use my finger. It's a little bit dusty, so going in the middle to inner part. Ooh, that is so pretty. I love purple. How pretty that purple is. Not a lot of fallout with that one, so that's good. That's what I was hoping for. Now let's go into Celestial Bloom, which is the deeper purple, and this one a little bit more textured, so I'm going to put on primer. Then go in with a brush. Nope, gonna go in with my finger. I mean, look how look how powerful that color is, especially with the glitter primer. All right, I'm gonna overlap with Aurora just a little bit. Is obviously very, very purple, but so pretty. So I will definitely suggest putting on your concealer after you do your makeup with this palette, especially if you're going to use some of these bolder, impactful shades. So on the under eye, I want to use a green. So I'm going to go into Galactic Muse because it's more of a blue green. I think that's going to go a little bit better with the purple. This is the Wayne Goss number 19. I apologize, I have not been keeping up with the names of these brushes, but look at that. That is such a pretty color. I mean, purple and green are always a pretty combo. A little bit intimidating, but very pretty. Alright, and I'm going to go in the inner corner with Serious Starlight again. That's silver color. Have it. I'm going to do some blending, some cleaning up with some concealer, and then I will be back to talk about eyeliner. Alright, this is the final look. I went ahead and skipped some steps and put on my eyeliner and mascara and did the little cleanup. So I used the BH Cosmetics Power Pencil White on the bottom inner lash line. The top lash line you probably can't see too well, just because I wanted a really thin line. I used the Chanel Brune Agape eyeliner. This is the long-lasting eyeliner. Waterproof. It's like a brown, shiny color. You could do like a really graphic black liner, but I thought this was enough. The mascara, I used the Victoria Beckham Future Lash Tubing Mascara. And then for lips, I used the Pat McGrath Bronze Venus Lust Gloss. There's a little bit of glitter in there. And that is the final look. So I did this video before, which seems to happen a lot now. I've been having sound issues with my microphone. Sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes you can't hear me, or there's like lots of static and weird noises, and I know I've kept videos that I probably should have redone, but I just didn't have time to redo. I like, the more I use this palette, the more I'm used to how these shadows work, and the better I like this look. I think this is such a fantasy palette, but such workable shades. So this look is probably a little bit more not every day, but more people can probably wear this than something like this. Not that you can't, everyone can wear anything, but I think more people will find this kind of look appealing. And there are some more, more shades that are more easily found in nature. So like these tones, a lot of people can use. If you could wear a nice cool tone, a lot of these shades are very wearable. But then you have the fantasy purples and greens. And you can incorporate these more natural looking shades with the green and purples to make them more wearable as well. So I think this is, obviously a very much colorful palette, but there are shades that you can wear every day. Some are more shimmery, more impactful than others, but I'm really enjoying this palette more than I thought I would. I was definitely on the fence and I did not get it right away. But I like the formula. There is some fallout, but I was able to clean it up pretty easily. Definitely want to use a glitter glue. But I really like the intensity of some of these shadows. They're really vibrant. And I just think the quality of Sydney Grace is really good. Now, do I think this is worth $40 for 12 shades? That's pretty good. And a lot of these are very impactful. If you hate fallout, I wouldn't say this palette is for you, because a number of these shades create fallout. I think the biggest offenders are probably Serious Starlight, Milky Way, Celestial Bloom, perhaps some of these greens I haven't worked with as much. Galactic Muse was fine. Borealis might be one that you want to watch out for. In terms of the mattes, I like that they have a dark green shade. I think that one's really nice. Umbra is like a black, dark gray, which, a lot of the palettes include black for like eyeliner and stuff. I don't think this is really necessary in this palette. I would have preferred a colored matte shade, or a shiny inner corner that isn't the silver shade. But otherwise, like if you might have some cool tone shades in your palette, in your collection like this, like a cooler grayish and a deeper gray. So it's not like totally unique, but I think these colors do go well with this palette. They're really easy to blend, really easy to apply. I do think this is not like a beginner colorful palette because of the textures and the fallout. If you don't know how to handle fallout, you're gonna end up with lots of stuff under here and you may not know how to clean it up. And then you're gonna look a little bit funny. Also, like where you place certain colors is going to determine how how these colors are gonna work out for you. So like if you don't know where to place certain colors, this might be a challenge. It's not like, okay, where do I put this green versus this green versus this green? If you don't know that, then that might be a little bit hard for you. But honestly, you can do whatever you want. You can play with it. I think eventually you'll figure out what you like. If you just want to use one shade, you can definitely do that. If you want to use one shade as an eyeliner, that would be really pretty as well. I do think it's worth $40, but because this will be included in the Christmas and July sale, I think it's definitely worth checking out. There are two other palettes in light and dark shades. that you may be interested in. This is more of the jewel toned palette, Galaxy palette. This is the sleeve, by the way. I don't think I showed this before. Matches the palette, but it just goes in here like this. So that is what you get. It is cardboard. Yeah, the other Temptalia palettes, if I had to pick another palette, I probably would have picked On the Horizon Light. It's got a mix of cool and warm. It has some greens, some coppers, some bluish, pinkish shades. Radiant Reflection Light. It's more of a rainbow, and I don't really like rainbow palettes, to be honest. I just feel like I don't use blue eyeshadow really, and there's 3 blues in there. They have some other really pretty shades, so even if you didn't use the blues, there's some pretty stuff in there. So honestly, I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. But in terms of like other types of Sydney Grace eyeshadows, they do have other palettes. I'm not sure what's going to be all included in the sale yet, but don't hesitate to get some single eyeshadows. And please check the links below for my other Sydney Grace videos if you guys are curious. That's pretty much it for my comments on Sydney Grace. I've always had pretty good customer service experience with them, no issues. But let me know your thoughts on Sydney Grace and this palette below. Let me know what you plan on picking up for the Christmas and July sale. It happens once a year and it is a great event, so definitely check it out. If you like this video, click the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.